Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Malek Soccer Stadium Plaque Unveiling Ceremony. Pleased to have with us here today our generous donor, Fred Malek, and his wife, Marlene, and members of their family. Welcome, Maleks. I'd also like to welcome the superintendent, Lieutenant General Robert Caslin, West Point Association of Graduates President and CEO Todd Brown, Army West Point Athletic Director Boo Corrigan, Army West Point Men's Soccer Head Coach Russell Payne, and the Director of Academy Advancement, Lieutenant Colonel Ken Heckel. Also with us this afternoon are members of the design, engineering, and construction teams and the West Point Association of Graduates and Directorate of Academy Advancement Construction and Maintenance teams. Welcome to you all here today. To get things started, my pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of the West Point Association of Graduates, Todd Brown.
So I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. Specifically, I'd like to recognize some of Fred's special guests who have joined us today. A number of Fred and Marlene's family are with us. Their son and daughter-in-law, Fred and Britlin, and their children, Cannon and Frederick. Thank you. Thank you for coming. In addition, I want to welcome two of Fred's classmates, Brigadier General retired Pete Dawkins and Lieutenant Colonel retired Fred Manzo. Two men who are not only important to Fred personally, but are part of Army athletics history. Pete was a member of the undefeated 1958 football team and winner of the Heisman Trophy, and Fred led the 1958 men's soccer team as its goalie and captain. Welcome, gentlemen. Today, however, we are here to celebrate Fred Malek, someone who exemplifies leadership. Fred has tirelessly served West Point as the chair of the USMA Board of Visitors, and more recently as the co-chair of our For Us All campaign. Alongside Jody Glore, class of 1965, Fred partnered with the AOG in directing the campaign and introduced West Point to many influential Americans. But more importantly, Fred led by example through his own support of West Point. As one of West Point's top 5 donors, it's no surprise that Fred once again answered the call to help his alma mater. You only have to look next door at the Malek Tennis Center or up at the Kimsey Center where we have the O'Meara Malek Dawkins class of 1959 Strength Development Center to see firsthand Fred's impact on West Point and our athletic programs. Today, it's our men's and women's soccer teams and their fans that will benefit from Fred's generosity. Without him, these cadets would not have the facility that truly honors their talent and commitment to competition on the fields of friendly strife. And at the end of October, we will welcome Fred and Marlene back for the dedication of the Frederick V. Malek West Point Visitor Center. Through the generosity of the Long Gray Line and others who love West Point, the West Point Association of Graduates is honored to construct and deliver top-flight, gift-funded buildings and facilities to the United States Military Academy. With the Malek Soccer Stadium, the number of brick-and-mortar projects delivered by the AOG now exceeds 30. The West Point Association of Graduates was proud to recognize Fred as a distinguished graduate in 2014, and today we are honored to have him and his wife and family back for this event to celebrate his dedication to West Point. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the 59th Superintendent, Robert Caslin.
Well, thank you very much, Todd. Thank you for the Association of Graduates and everything that you do to make all of this happen. And good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see all of you. Thank you very much for being here as we honor our distinguished member of the Long Gray Line. First, Pete and Fred, General Dawkins and Colonel Fred Manzo. Great to have both of you here as well. So great. And Bill Rowe, good to see you here as well as a classmate. Wonderful to have classmates back to celebrate with Fred. And of course, to Fred, Marlene, and the Malek family, a special welcome to all of you as well. Well, throughout our installation, statues and monuments honor the lives and accomplishments of notable figures from our nation's history, as do many of the buildings and facilities that dot this landscape. Names like Washington, Thayer, Grant, Pershing, MacArthur, Eisenhower, and Davis. These names and their legacies represent and they inspire each and every one of us. Many of these names are well known, but there are just as many names that you might not find in the history book, but yet their legacy, their devotion to duty and commitment to selfless service is just as great as their ability to inspire. Fred Malek is one such name. Since graduating from West Point in 1959, Fred has selflessly served our Army and our nation in so many different ways, whether as an airborne ranger in Vietnam or as part of 2 presidential administrations. In addition, Fred has selflessly given back to West Point in so many ways, not only through his generous philanthropic support over the years, but also through the Association of Graduates, as Todd mentioned a moment ago, and as chair of our Board of Visitors. Additionally, he's introduced and connected prominent non-grads to West Point, bringing them in as speakers and also as supporters. Over the years, Fred has epitomized the ideal of selfless service. And in every endeavor, he's exemplified our values of duty and honor and country. It is at that level of commitment and dedication to West Point that allows us to be the world's preeminent leader development institution. An important part of the leader development experience at West Point is, as you know, our athletics program. When General MacArthur declared that every cadet is an athlete and uttered the words that we all know by heart, that upon the fields of friendly strife are born the seeds, that upon other fields on other days will bear the fruits of victory. Fred knew that athletics develops certain attributes important for future leaders, like tenacity and resilience and discipline and mental and physical toughness. Traits that enable us to excel and to win on the playing field are the same traits that enable us to excel and win on the battlefield. I think that Fred, like so many of us, would be the first to agree that those lessons that helped him become a successful leader were learned here on a soccer field or on a wrestling mat nearly 60 years ago. And because of outstanding leaders like Fred Malek, who ensure we have the world-class facilities, such as this magnificent soccer stadium, to support a world-class athletics program, those lessons are still being taught today. Just ask Marcos Arroyo, the captain of the men's soccer team, who was also leading our Corps cadets as a brigade deputy commander. Or the women's team captain, Claire Shea, one of the brigade staff officers. Or Taylor Gordon, the women's soccer team managers, who's one of our battalion first sergeants. Or the many other leaders within the Corps. Or better yet, ask any of the graduates who are here right now leading America's sons and daughters around the globe. Fred, that's the kind of impact you've made over the years. And your true legacy is the legions of leaders of character you have inspired and helped mold through your support over the years. And when future generations of leaders see your name and learn about Fred Malek, just know that they too will be inspired by your legacy of selfless service. So on behalf of the entire West Point team, the Corps Cadets, and the Long Gray Line, sir, thank you for your legacy of service, and thank you for all you have done for West Point and for our Army and for our nation. God bless you.
Thank you, General Caslin. At this point, I would like to invite men's soccer head coach here at Army West Point, Russell Payne, to say a few words.
I just want to apologize, first of all. I wake up sweating on game days, so it's not going to stop. It's going to get worse. But General Caslin, thanks for those amazing words and kind words. And this is an easy one for me personally. We have the premier soccer stadium, Division I soccer stadium in the Northeast, right, and probably on down past Mid-Atlantic. So to Fred and Marlene, you know, and on behalf of the team, coaching staff, players, this goes way beyond us. We've already started grabbing 2018, 2019 recruits because of what we have standing behind us here. So thank you all for your support and for what you've given to this program and to this university. Thank you so much. To everyone else standing here, we have a job to do, and not just tonight, but we have a job to represent this school, to this program, this institution, and families like the Maliks. Tonight is an opportunity to do that, and we're going to do that again on Friday and throughout the rest of the season. And whether we're playing on a pitch out at Siena or we're playing in the premier soccer stadium in the country here at Malek Stadium, playing with pride and playing on behalf of all that we represent is so important. And having a professional platform to do that on is very special for these players. Sometimes the cadet athletes, student athletes, they don't always realize what they have when they have it, right? And I'm sure when they come back years to come, they'll go, man, were we lucky. But I can tell you this, when they walk out of the gates onto the field, they're inspired by what's around them. They're inspired by the people sitting in the stands, by what's around them, and you guys have helped bring that to life. So thank you again, and let's have a great one tonight, you guys. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Coach. I'd now like to welcome Army West Point Athletic Director Boo Corrigan for a few words.
So, Fred, I want to thank you maybe a little bit different than what you thought I was going to do. So we was down at your home overlooking the Potomac or the world. I'm not quite sure what it was at that point, but we were down there and we started talking about different opportunities. And each time it kept coming back to the cadets. And we mentioned this, and I remember we were over pregame for a football game over at Cullum Hall, and you and I took a walk over here. And on the walk over, we started talking about what it could be. And you had the vision. And I'm not the least bit surprised when you look at your bio and all that you've done that you do have vision. But the vision that you had to do something special for not only the men's program, but a women's program. And we understand what our mission is. Our mission is very clear, to develop leaders of character, lead our Army. We do it through sport, and we believe in what that is. And that brought you here to be a part of the soccer team. And, Pete is here as part of the undefeated 58 team. I remember Fred Malek as a soccer player. That's what I'm sticking with as well, and John Ralph. But, we're so pleased to have you here. What a great deal it is for me as the AD, for all of our coaches, and most importantly for our cadets to have the opportunity, as Russ said, to play at the premier soccer program. Soccer stadium in the area and in the nation. For who we are and what we are, it doesn't get any better than that. So Fred and Marlene, thank you very much for all that you've done for us. Cheers.
Thank you, Boo. Please join me in thanking Mr. Malek for his incredible facility for our cadets. And Mr. Malek, I invite you to come forward for remarks.
Well, let's start with the truth. Yeah, I was on the soccer team, but I was on the B squad. I don't know if you still have B squad, but it's for the guys who aren't good enough to make second string in the varsity. But I was proud to be there, and soccer played a very important part of my life, particularly plebe year, when I played with my friend and classmate Freddie Manzo, who emerged as a great captain of the team. We were undefeated plebe year too, right? Yeah. And I got to say, the only thing Freddie and I can say is, Russell, where are you? You sure as heck better beat Sacred Heart. I think we were playing Penn State and teams like that in our day. I'm also particularly happy that two of my classmates, Pete Dawkins, our Heisman Trophy winner and class president, everybody knows he's a Heisman Trophy winner, but what people don't know is for 57 years, he's been the president of our class and done a hell of a job. And a mark of a good man is the man who does his job when no one else is looking. And he does it. And he does it with pride, and he does it with distinction and excellence. And I'm also so happy Bill Rao joined us. Bill has been my buddy since West Point days. The introduction didn't do him justice. We played on both sides of the ball. Not we, I didn't play. They played on both sides of the ball. He was the toughest guy that West Point had. He was an All-American center and nose tackle and linebacker. Just great of the three of you to be here and help me celebrate this great day. Thank you. And thanks to my family for being here. Now, I've been thanked enough. You think? But really, in my heart, here's the way I feel about it. I was fortunate. I was fortunate to get an education here that I couldn't achieve anywhere else. To get the kind of training here, the discipline, the sense of how to get things done, of how to lead, that you can't get anyplace else. And that's what enabled me to kind of be halfway successful. I mean, that's what sustained me throughout my career. It was the West Point Foundation. And I owe so much to West Point, and so do all of us who graduated from West Point. And so when we're thanked, particularly when I'm thanked, for giving back a little bit, and I've said this before, Bob, I've said this many times, I kind of turn it around and say, the thanks don't go to us. The thanks go to you for turning out such wonderful young leaders of America, the best leaders in the world, and we owe you a debt of gratitude, to you and the faculty and the coaches and everybody here, because you really do a great job, and thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to just close by sharing with you my two favorite phrases or memories that have guided me. One is in the cadet prayer, the phrase, the courage to choose the harder right versus the easier wrong. When you think about it, it's so easy sometimes to take the expedient route, the easier wrong, and so difficult to choose the harder right. I haven't always chosen the harder right, but most of us have more often than not. And it's the most important lesson I think I've taken out of my career. Have the courage to choose the harder right versus the easier wrong at every decision, every fork you come to. And the second is something I learned long after West Point. And that is to realize that success is never final. As soon as you start with this stuff, patting yourself on the back, you're over the hill and you're sliding down. It ain't over till it's over, and you're only as good as your next assignment or your next challenge. So even as Freddie and Bill and Pete and I enter, I guess, the autumn of our careers, success is never final. We're still doing what we can to make this a better place and a better country, and I hope you all do as well. Thank you all for being here for me.
General Caslin, Fred, Todd, Boo, Coach Payne, could you please come forward to unveil the plaque on our new Malek Soccer Stadium? We have a lot of photos here coming up. So, gentlemen, if you could please stay with us here. Let's add Lieutenant Colonel Heckel, the design, engineer, construction folks to our lineup for a picture.
Moment in the sun, literally.
Thank you, everyone. Could we now get a picture with Fred and his classmates, General Dawkins and Colonel Manzo?
to the line. Yay!
Great job. Now a picture. Can we get Fred and Marlene and their family, please? And last but not least, one more photo. Fred with Colonel Manzo and cadet staff from our soccer team, our men's soccer team that are here. Please step up and let's get a photo of you guys. I see Carlos there.
We brought the heat with Marco. We also like to make sure that we have some men's soccer. Remind you that you'll always be part of A side forever.
How about one more round of applause for the Malek family?